welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Lunarworld. I'm very excited today because today we're going to be working on the Discovery Mountain portion of the project, and more specifically we're going to be working on the queue line for my drop ride, which is it's called Horror Heights in the game, but it's pretty much the Tower of Terror, or I guess the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disneyland if you've ever been there. Same concept. It has a drop shaft, picks you up and drops you, and there's different scenery elements and theming and other great stuff that you encounter along the way. So my ride is actually going to be more based off of the one at Disney World that has like two shafts, one in the back, and then you move forward and then you move into the main shaft. That's just how Planet Coaster is. But yeah, so pretty excited for today. I'll kind of get into more of the theming and what we're actually going to be working on later on. So yeah, let's jump into the build. So first thing I have to do, I must disclose, is that I've already built the majority of the Tower of Terror, like theming sort of, I've already done all that. I've built all of the scenes. I have an idea of what the sort of story is, and that's already all done. So right now what I'm doing is just copying over so I can make two towers, because I wanted to make two shafts for this. I wanted to do three originally, but it was just like there's just no room, so it's not gonna work. And yeah, so now I am doing the line here, and the line is what we're gonna be working on for the most of the episode, because I wanted to show like a lot of the theming going on here and kind of give you guys an idea of what this ride is. I don't know if I want to show the ride yet. I think I want to showcase the ride POVs and other things once the park is more or less complete. So you guys are gonna have to stay tuned for that eventually, but I think I might release one or two areas before then, but we'll see. So yeah, right now I'm like I said, I'm building the line for the entryway, and this line was very difficult to do because what I sort of the overall concept of Lunarworld is I wanted the park to be very compact, and unfortunately I wanted to like maintain a decent amount of crowd, but I can't really do that. I can't really make big long lines or other things that are intruding onto the main facades and the pathways, because then it kind of just ruins what I'm doing. A lot of different rides here are very interwoven, and when you kind of do that and you have a very compact park, you can't exactly build a lot of the things that you would normally build that are out in the open. Like for example, lines, you can't really build out in the open, or restaurants. I find myself having to hide like guest staff room, or like staff rooms and guest relation buildings and things like that, and I'm landlocked. I put myself on a little island in the middle of like a big lake or something. So I actually don't really know what the setting is, by the way, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, so I wanted this to be like compact and cool, and kind of resemble what Disneyland is, which is there's a lot of different things interwoven, and they don't have a lot of land, but somehow they're able to have like great capacity, and that's what I wanted to do. So part of that is putting a line that's underground. So yeah, I think the line turned out good. It took a while to get going, but eventually made it. So now I'm working on some buildings that are going the outside of the line. I actually struggled really hard here because I didn't know how this was going to interact with the theming that's going to be in the inside. I eventually kind of came up with the idea that we're going to have a warehouse that's on the outside that's going to store a lot of the stuff that's built in the mine, and this is going to be where it's stored before it's shipped out, some sort of concept like that. So and this kind of just brings up a general struggle that I think I have with building things, and that's like I don't really know how to start with nothing. I find myself more successful when I start with something and get going with it, and feel inspired. Like I can't really I never know what to do if I just sit there and I'm like, I have nothing and I don't know what to start with, and it's like so hard to start with something. So for example, like if I don't know what to build, I need to just build a building. Like even if it's bad, even if I delete it, that's fine. But when I build the building, I'm going to have a better idea of what themes I'm going to do later. And once I build that building, I'm like, oh, now I know what to do. I just put this, this, and this, and then, you know, eventually it just all works out. So I guess life lesson to me: don't start with nothing. You need to start with something before things really pick up. And eventually, when I have everything picked up, you know, it goes smoothly, and you know, I don't waste any time, and you know, I do it in one go. So there you go. There you go. I guess life lessons. Getting back to the builds right now, we're like I said, sort of setting up. Well, I'm building the line entrance right now, and building the theming elements that are in the line. And I guess this might be a good opportunity to tell you guys what the theme actually is. So the theme of this ride is, I think you guys can understand, it's like a tower, you know, a tower terrace style ride, like I said earlier, but it's themed to a mine shaft. The mine shaft is still functional, and as guests you enter as a tour guide. Like the story is, this cave is called Luna Caverns. They mine a lot of different gems, a lot of different minerals. One of their biggest exports are gems, and what they're doing is providing a tour for you. Now the tour is not the tour guide people, or the tour is not exactly safe, like, and it's actually recently abandoned because a really bad incident happened. So everything is still functional, everything is not like torn down, but the shaft is very like not exactly safe. It was always very difficult to maintain safety. It's not really like a tour that's always going to be like safe, and they've had a lot of incidents that have happened. So one of those instances, a lot of monsters came after some recent guests, and now you're kind of picking up the pieces and, you know, experiencing yourself. The theme is a little bit confusing, very broad, but I just wanted to make it sort of like, with simplicity, a haunted cave, or a cave that you're like in a mine shaft. You're dropping, you're around like mining theme and things like that, and essentially monsters just come after you. Like, monsters came into this mine shaft and they just, you know, they destroyed you, I guess, or they destroy the mine, and you're just trying to escape. So yeah, I mean, I was going to go with an abandoned mine shaft originally, but then I was like, well, I don't know if that really goes with the whole theme of Lunarworld. Lunarworld is like, in reality, it's supposed to be very old. Like, the setting is vintage. So I was like, well, mine shafts were, you know, just kind of booming, and, you know, around like the Industrial Revolution. So I don't know if I can make it sort of haunted. A lot of mine shafts are still active at that time. So I didn't want to make it abandoned. I'm sure there were abandoned mine shafts at the time. So yeah, I guess the concept is you are escaping from monsters inside a shaft that come after you during your tour. And there's been some recent incidences, so that's why you are here, essentially. But I don't want to think about it too much, because then I'm going to be like, wait, that doesn't make sense, and you know, I struggled kind of at the beginning to make dark rides, but I thought too much about the story, and I'm like, well, the story doesn't really matter, because you know, I'm just trying to, I have to like keep in mind, what am I doing with this park? I want this park to have a lot of different rides, a lot of different themes, great scenery, things like that. And I was like, you know, I don't know if it's really necessary to think about a story too much, but make sure there is a story at the same time, you know? So yeah, anyways, I'm ranting. I hope that makes sense. The name of the ride it's interesting name. I was originally just going to go with Terror Shaft, or Shaft of Terror, but it's more than that, you know. I want names in this park to be mean more than that. So oh, like for example, a lot of the names that you would find in the rides that I have in the boardwalk area, or I think I call that Crystal Cove, right? Um, a lot of the names I have there are based off of older rides that you would find at like Luna Park in Coney Island, or um, other sort of ride concepts that I've seen in more of like the vintage older parks that when I did some research. So a lot of those have have a lot of story and theme. And I think one day I'm going to make a video just kind of explaining, do a park tour and explain like where everything comes from and why I named everything a certain way, and what it's based on. What sort of vintage element it's based on. So I wanted to kind of have something like that here. So I decided to call a ride An Adventure Through Earth's Underground. And I said it's presented by Luna Mines, or Luna Caverns, which this is what Luna Caverns is the actual, within the story of the park, that's the name of this mine shaft, is Luna Caverns. And presented by Luna Caverns, I think implies that there are tours that are going on here, and it's, you're going through an adventure through Earth's underground, like you're seeing a mine shaft. It's I guess like marketing for the people that are giving the tours, I guess. But what's interesting is I wanted to sort of have an undertone that is the shaft of terror. And like I said earlier, there are some recent incidences that involve like monsters coming and attacking you on your tour while you're going through this mine shaft. Hence why you're going up and dropping and all that great stuff. So the undertone is Shaft of Terror, and that's what the ride is really named. Like, at Disneyland, where you have a Hollywood Tower Hotel, and that's like what it says on the outside, and the theme of the ride is you're in this haunted hotel, but in reality it's called Tower of Terror. But you're not really in a building that's called Tower of Terror, So I wanted to sort of keep that sort of theme where you have what the reality of what the building is or what the shaft is, but also the undertone of what, on the inside it really is, which is Tower of Terror. I don't know if that's too deep, but so yeah, Shaft of Terror, Adventure Through Earth's Underground. I think it's interesting, fun names, and I'm excited to go with it. So now I think it might be good to talk about something that is an elephant in the room, I guess. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I changed my channel name. So I went from Obstacle Creeper to the Conster. And the reason I did that is, I guess if you've been around for a while, you know that I used to make a lot of Minecraft videos, and you can go back on my recent videos that I uploaded 5 years ago, and it's all Minecraft, And at the time, I chose Optical Creeper because I knew I was going to be making Minecraft videos, and that was going to be the majority of what I was going to do. So it made sense to pick something that had, like, you have a creeper, and I googled, I was like, okay, what's a Minecraft name that no one's used at the time? And I was like, well, I think Optical Creeper works because no one's used it. It's like kind of unique, I guess. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if I ever really liked it. I kind of just chose it and went with it because I just didn't know what channel name to pick. But I knew I wanted to make a channel. But now that I'm not making Minecraft videos anymore, and I've sort of rebranded everything, I've decided I need to change. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to do that because I'm now, working on doing. I want to do different things, not just Planet Coaster. So I wanted something more broad, and I think the Conster is more broad, and I think it says more about me. It doesn't limit me to just like Planet Coaster or roller coaster videos. It limits me whatever I want to do. So sorry about the confusion. If you're from here, you're like, wait, why was this guy's name changed? That's why I uploaded a few videos, and I think now, hopefully people get the idea that it's me doing this and not someone else. I'm still the same person, it's just different name, I think it's a good opportunity too, because now I I'm sort of building a new audience with roller coaster and planet coaster videos, and I think this is a great opportunity to change my name now that I've made a couple videos, and I'm starting to I want to try and make a name for myself, and I want that to be the name that I want to use. So yeah, so I guess getting back to the build, I'm very excited because finally I get to work on the outside. For so long I've been stuck in that small little cavern, that drippy, just, annoying, cramped cavern that took forever to build the line. I'm actually very excited to be on the outside because on the inside it's so hard to, because I'm kind of confined to a bunch of walls. I can't really see over from far away what I'm working on, I had to sort of stay in one place in the cavern and build kind of close quarters to what I'm seeing, and I couldn't really see the broad spectrum of what I was actually building. So now that I'm on the outside, it's great because I can zoom out, I have all this air that I can work with and do whatever I want. I'm very happy to be working on the facade. And this kind of brings up another topic, which is facades of rides. The facade of this build is important because it tells the story of what's on the inside, and I wanted to make sure that was very clear. So I was like, well, okay, what am I going to put on the outside? And I was like, well, I know it's going to be a mine themed, and what sort of, I was like, okay, well, what do they mine? And I was like, maybe they mine coal. But I was like, that's boring. I feel like there's too many coal mines. So to make it unique and, also using pieces that are available in the game, I was like, why don't I make it a gem mine? So I decided to get a minecart, fill it with a bunch of gems, and call it a day. And I think it turned out great, I think it's more interesting, like a coal mine. It's like the export of this mine is minerals, but also gems. And I have, in the dark ride itself, I remember I put minecarts with gems in it, so I was like, well, I guess it just makes sense to, do that. So, and the mine is recently abandoned, so nothing's technically moving anyway, so I think it works out. So yeah, right now I'm just kind of building supports. The sort of structure that I built up a little earlier is actually supposed to be a loading dock for the gems to go into. So there's going to be a chute where workers would, they don't anymore because monsters don't attack this place. And they drop it on the chute, then I'm building right here, and then they go into the minecart, and then they ship off to their merry way. So I think it shows functionality to the mine, and it has a lot of, I think it's pretty cool and interesting, and gives something the guests to look at and to entice them to ride the ride. And obviously they see the shaft in the back, the big tall gray shaft, and they're like, okay, well, it's a drop ride, so entering through there makes sense. Yeah, so I think another thing I want to talk about is I was thinking about trying to, once I'm done with the park, trying to have these rides available in the workshop, but it's tough because these rides are connected to the portion of the park that they're in and the theme that they're in, they're, and the lines and some of the theming is tied into different parts of the park, if you know what I mean. So now I'm I don't know what to do, because I want to share this on the workshop, but at the same time it's the rides aren't really set up that way. They're not independent, So I was thinking the other day, and I was like, well, I really want to showcase portions of Lunarworld before it's complete, because I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot I still want to do here, and there's a lot I still want to complete before this park is finished. So I was like, I think it might be good that if I want to share this, I should share it. And I think it would be great is if I isolate the ride, and then essentially I'm going to have to build the theme all around it, I'm going to have to just hunker down, build a theme that you could put in any park, you can plop down in any one of your parks, and, the dark ride itself is complete, and, I don't think that needs to change. I just need to make sure that, whatever I'm building can actually or the ride that I build can actually be plopped down in a park. So for example, this ride, like the drop shaft's going to remain the same, but I'm going to have to build my own facade, and I'm going to have to take elements from probably this build here and incorporate that, but I'm going to have to build a whole new facade and everything. But I want to do that because, I find that there's a lot of parks, like, they're built into everything, and it takes time to isolate it, but there's a lot of parks like this where you have rides that are not available, independent rides aren't available in the workshop. I think you can download like independent buildings, but I think that would be cool. So watch out for that in the future. It's not coming tomorrow or anything like that. It's not available right now. Like I said, that's going to take some time to build, but I think eventually when that happens, I will make it available. I think it would be cool to also make videos, individual videos of each one of the sort of dark rides that I'm building in the park, and share that with everyone. And I think once I release those videos, I think it would be a good time to actually share the independent workshop item that you can put in your park. So yeah, watch out for that eventually. I don't know when it's gonna come, but I want to do it. I think it'll be a good idea. Yeah, so I think we're kind of just finishing out some of the finer details of the facade here. I realized that these minecarts took up a lot of space actually, and it kind of saved me some time, because I was like, okay, well now I have something to put here, and I'm just making sure everything's supported, making sure it is realistically feasible. It's not actually going to be feasible. Like, you would probably hit that, for example, the minecart would probably hit those things out there, but it's all about perspective, and it's not really, like, I think, a huge deal. But yeah, just prettying it up, adding some rocks, adding a little doorway for our minecart to go through, and prettying it up, adding some bushes here and there. And I think once I add scenery, I find that, like, when you add green and other colors and other textures, it just pops. Like, I wasn't really sure how it was looking until I started adding all the scenery and stuff. And now I'm adding the lighting, and the lighting is so great. I wanted to make it sort of haunted, so I added like purples and greens and like blues and all that great stuff, and even some reds. And I think lighting really makes a ride pop. Like, it really, at nighttime is where it really shines, and it kind of shows the horror of the ride, but also like the mystique, but also like the appeal to it. So anyways, I'm nearing the end of the time lapse here. Thank you all so much for watching, appreciate it, and let's get into some B-roll.